I'm staring at my phone screen, watching my life savings disappear in real time. $3,400. $2,100. $5,800. Each notification hits like a knife to the chest, and I can't breathe. I refresh the banking app and more charges appear. $1,200 at some boutique I've never been to. $4,000 at a furniture store. $2,700 at an electronics shop. My balance was $37,000 this morning. Now it's barely 18. I'm shaking so violently I have to sit down on my bathroom floor, my back against the cold tile, my phone clutched in white-knuckled hands. I scroll through the transactions, trying to make sense of them, trying to find some explanation that isn't what I know it is. Then the text message comes in. My mother. I used your card. We needed it. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't make a big deal out of it. $19,000 gone in a single afternoon. And she's telling me not to make a big deal out of it. I type back with shaking hands, Mom, you just took almost $20,000 from my account. Her response comes seconds later, you have plenty. We needed furniture and some things for your father. He's been in so much pain. You wouldn't understand because you're young and healthy. Don't be selfish. Selfish. She called me selfish for questioning why she stole $19,000 from my bank account. I read that message 3 times. Then I read it a 4th time. And something inside me just stops. I stop feeling guilty. I stop feeling responsible. I stop feeling like I owe them anything at all. That was the moment I realized I wasn't their daughter. I was their bank account. And bank accounts don't have feelings. Bank accounts don't need vacations or savings or futures. Bank accounts exist to be drained. I never thought I'd tell this story. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who walked away from her family and disappeared without a trace. But here I am, sitting on this bathroom floor at 29 years old, finally understanding that love and obligation are not the same thing. Let me go back to the beginning. I grew up as the oldest of 4 kids in a family that never quite had enough. My father worked construction when he could find work. My mother stayed home with us because daycare cost more than she could make at any job she could get. Money was always tight. Always. I remember my mother counting coins at the kitchen table to see if we could afford milk and bread. I remember wearing hand-me-downs from cousins and getting new shoes once a year if we were lucky. When I was 12, I started babysitting for neighbors. By 14, I had a paper route and worked weekends at a local diner. By 16, I was working 20 hours a week during the school year and full-time every summer. I learned early that if I wanted something, I had to earn it myself. My parents couldn't afford to give me allowance or pay for my clothes or my school supplies. So I paid for them myself. Nobody asked me to do this. I just understood it was necessary. I watched my parents struggle, and I didn't want to add to their burden. But looking back now, I realize that this was where the pattern started. The pattern of me being the one who sacrificed. The one who solved problems. The one who gave up my own needs for the family. When I was 18, I got a scholarship to a state university. Partial scholarship, it covered tuition but not room and board or books. My parents told me they couldn't help. I understand, I said. And I did. They had 3 other kids to raise. I was on my own. So I worked my way through college. 2 jobs, sometimes 3. I took online classes when I could. I lived in the cheapest housing I could find with 3 roommates. I ate ramen noodles and whatever free food was available on campus. I graduated in 5 years instead of 4, but I graduated. Debt-free. My parents were so proud of me at that graduation ceremony. My mother cried. My father shook my hand like I was an adult for the first time. Look at you, my mother said. Making something of yourself. We always knew you would. I felt so loved that day. So seen. I didn't realize then that their pride came with a price tag. My first job out of college paid $42,000 a year. It felt like a fortune. I'd never made more than $18,000 a year working multiple jobs. $42,000 seemed like unlimited wealth. I rented a tiny studio apartment, bought a used car that ran but wasn't pretty, and started building my life. I was so proud of myself. I'd made it. I had a real job, a real salary, a real future. The first request came 3 months after I started working. "Sweetheart," my mother said on the phone, her voice hesitant in a way that made my stomach tighten. "I hate to ask this, but your sister needs new shoes for school and we're a little short this month. Could you help out? Just this once? Just this once." The words every enabler uses to get you to say yes. I sent her $200. It was the first time I'd been able to help, and it felt good. It felt like I was finally repaying them for all those years of sacrifice. "Thank you, baby. You're a lifesaver. I don't know what we'd do without you." I glowed from that praise for weeks. The second request came 2 months later. School supplies for my brother. Could I send $100? I sent it. Then it was groceries. Then the electric bill. Then my father's medical copay. Then Christmas presents for the younger kids. Then a new tire for the family car. Each request was small. Each one came with guilt and gratitude in equal measure. "You're the only one we can count on. The other kids are still in school. They can't help yet. When you're older, you'll understand what it means to sacrifice for family." I sent the money. Every time. I told myself it was temporary. That once my siblings graduated and got jobs, the burden would be shared. That I was just helping out during a rough patch. I didn't realize the rough patch was never going to end. And I was the only one expected to fix it. By the time I was 25, I was making $65,000 a year. I'd been promoted twice, saved diligently, and built up a decent emergency fund. I was proud of myself. I'd worked so hard to get where I was. But my family's requests had grown too. What started as $200 here and there had become a steady stream of demands. My mother needed help with the mortgage. My father's medical bills were piling up. My younger sister needed money for community college tuition. My brother needed a car to get to his job. I sent money for all of it. I sent money because I loved them. Because I wanted them to be okay. Because I was the responsible one, the successful one, the one who could help. But something started to feel wrong. I noticed that my siblings, who were now adults with jobs, weren't contributing anything. They lived at home, spent their money on clothes and phones and going out, and never offered to help with the household expenses. When I asked my mother about it once, she said, "They're young. They need to enjoy their lives. You were always the responsible one." The responsible one. That phrase had become a trap, but I couldn't see it yet. I started noticing other things too. My parents started planning their lives around my income. "Next month, when you get paid, we'll fix the roof. Your father's surgery is in 3 months. You'll handle the copay, right? We're thinking of remodeling the kitchen. You can help with that." Not asking. Assuming. When I tried to push back, gently, carefully, the guilt came immediately. "After everything we've done for you. We sacrificed so much to raise you. You wouldn't have anything without us. Your siblings need help. You can't just abandon them." So I kept sending money. Kept saying yes. Kept watching my savings account grow slower and slower as more and more of my income flowed to my family. I stopped going out with friends because I couldn't afford it after sending money home. I stopped taking vacations. I stopped buying myself nice things. I drove the same beat-up car for 7 years. Because I couldn't justify spending money on a new one when my family needed so much. I told myself it was fine. I was helping my family. That was more important than my own wants. But I was tired. So tired. And I was lonely. I didn't date because I didn't have the money for it. I didn't have hobbies because hobbies cost money. I didn't have a life outside of work because work was where I earned the money that my family needed. I was 27 years old and I felt like I was 70. Exhausted, depleted, with nothing to show for all my hard work except an empty apartment and an emptier bank account. The breaking point didn't come all at once. It came in pieces, each one chipping away at my denial until there was nothing left but truth. The first piece came when my sister posted Instagram photos of her new iPhone. The latest model, over $1,000. She'd posted about wanting it for months, counting down the days until it was released. I called my mother. "Hey, I saw Sarah got a new phone." "How did she afford that?" "Oh, she's been saving up. She's been working so hard at that coffee shop." I did some quick math. Sarah worked 20 hours a week at minimum wage. After taxes, she was bringing home maybe $1,000 a month. She had no bills, she lived at home, my parents paid for everything, and I was covering the mortgage. There was no way she'd saved $1,000 for a phone. Unless she hadn't saved it. Unless my mother had given her the money. "Mom, where did she get the money for that phone?" I helped her a little. She's been so good about working and going to school. I wanted to reward her. My jaw tightened. "You helped her? With what money?" "What do you mean, with what money?" "You asked me for $2,000 last week for the mortgage. Now Sarah has a new phone. Did you use the money I sent for her phone?" "Of course not," my mother said, but her voice had shifted. Defensive. "I had a little extra from the grocery money." "The grocery money I sent? Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm your mother. You don't talk to me like this." I backed down. I always backed down. But I started paying closer attention. The second piece came 3 months later. My brother Mark had just bought a used car. A nice one, a Honda Civic with low miles, probably worth $8,000 or $9,000. It was parked in my parents' driveway, shining in the afternoon sun, when I came over for Sunday dinner. "How did Mark afford a car?" I asked my mother while we were setting the table. "He got a loan. His credit is good enough now." "A loan?" "He works part-time at a warehouse." "How is he going to make payments?" "He'll manage. We're helping him out." "With what money?" The same question. The same defensive response. "I don't appreciate your tone, young lady. Your brother needed a reliable car to get to work. You should be happy we're helping him." I was sending them $2,000 a month by then. Between the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, my father's medical bills, and the emergencies that seemed to happen every other week, I was giving my family almost my entire disposable income. And they were using it to buy iPhones and cars for my siblings. I looked around the dinner table that night. My younger siblings were laughing, talking about their plans for the weekend. My father was reading the newspaper. My mother was serving food. None of them thanked me. None of them acknowledged that the reason they had this food, this house, this stability, was because I was working myself into the ground. I was a ghost at that table. A wallet with a face. The third piece came when I discovered I'd been added to a joint account without my knowledge. I was checking my bank statements, something I'd started doing obsessively, trying to track where my money was going, when I noticed a new account listed under my name. A joint checking account with my mother. I called the bank immediately. "Can you tell me when this account was opened?" "Let me check." "Yes, this account was opened approximately 8 months ago." "Did I authorize this?" "According to our records, both account holders were present for the opening. Your signature is on file." I didn't sign anything. I'd never been to that bank branch in my life. My mother had forged my signature. I confronted her that evening, driving to their house after work, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight they ached. Mom, did you open a joint bank account in my name? She was in the kitchen, washing dishes. She didn't even turn around. I can explain. Did you forge my signature? It's not forging. You're my daughter. I have a right to access your finances if there's an emergency. An emergency? What kind of emergency? Well, sometimes I need money for things and you're not available to ask. This way I can get what we need without bothering you. Without bothering me. She'd created a secret account so she could steal from me more conveniently. Close it, I said. Close it right now. I can't close it. There's money in there. How much money? She finally turned around, drying her hands on a dish towel. About $4,000. I've been putting a little aside each month from what you send for emergencies. She'd been skimming from the money I sent. Creating a secret fund that I didn't know about. Close the account and transfer the money to my personal account. Today. You're being dramatic. It's still your money. I was just holding it. No, you were hiding it. There's a difference. She didn't close the account that day. Or the next day. Or the week after. I had to go to the bank myself, with my identification and proof of address, and close it in person. The teller told me they couldn't remove my mother from the account without her signature, but they could close the account entirely if I provided proper documentation. It took me 3 visits and a formal complaint to get it done. When the account was finally closed, the money, all $4,000, was transferred to my personal account. My mother was furious. I can't believe you did that. I was saving that for emergencies. You were stealing from me. I'm your mother. It's not stealing. It's stealing. And I want it to stop. But it didn't stop. It just got smarter. The 4th piece came when I realized my siblings had stopped working entirely. Mark had quit his warehouse job because he didn't like the hours. Sarah had dropped out of community college because it was too hard. My youngest brother, David, had never had a job at all. He was 23 and spent his days playing video games in my parents' basement. And all of them were being supported by my money. I was working 50-hour weeks, skipping meals, wearing clothes from 3 seasons ago, and my siblings were living at home with no responsibilities, funded by my labor. That's when the resentment really started to build. One Sunday, I confronted all of them at dinner. Why isn't anyone working? I asked, looking around the table. Mark shrugged. I'm looking for something better. You've been looking for 6 months. The job market is tough. You had a job. You quit. The hours were terrible. I was working weekends. I work weekends, I said quietly. I've worked weekends for 10 years. Yeah, but you like your job. I don't like working every weekend. I do it because I have to. Sarah jumped in. Not everyone is like you. Not everyone wants to work themselves to death. I'm not working myself to death. I'm working to support myself. Which is what adults do. We're still figuring things out, David said, not looking up from his phone. You're 23. When are you going to start figuring it out? My mother intervened. Don't attack your siblings. They're doing their best. Their best? David hasn't had a job in his entire adult life. Sarah quit school. Mark quit his job. How is that their best? Not everyone is as driven as you are, my father said. You need to be more understanding. I'm understanding. I've been understanding for years. But I can't keep supporting everyone. No one's asking you to support. Everyone, my mother said. Yes, you are. You ask me for money every week. And I send it because I think it's going to necessities. But it's not. It's going to phones and cars and letting my siblings do nothing while I work constantly. That's not fair, Sarah said, tears welling up in her eyes. You make it sound like we're using you. Aren't you? The table went silent. My mother's face hardened. I think you should leave. Gladly. I left that dinner and didn't speak to them for 2 weeks. It was the longest I'd ever gone without contact. My mother called me every day. I didn't answer. She left voicemails. We need to talk about this. You can't just shut us out. The mortgage is due and I need your help. Always back to the money. On day 14, I answered. I'll send the mortgage payment, I said. But we need to have a serious conversation about boundaries. Boundaries? What boundaries? I can't keep supporting everyone. It's not sustainable. I need to save money for my own future. Your future? What about our future? What about your siblings' futures? They need to build their own futures. I can't do it for them. You're being selfish. There was that word again. Selfish. Maybe I am, I said. But I'm tired, Mom. I'm so tired. We're all tired. That's life. You don't just give up on family because you're tired. I'm not giving up. I'm setting limits. Limits are just another word for abandonment. I didn't know how to respond to that. So I sent the mortgage payment and tried to figure out how to protect myself without completely cutting them off. That was my mistake. Thinking I could have both. The fifth piece, the one that finally broke me, came on a Tuesday afternoon in October. I was at work, in the middle of a meeting with my boss about a potential promotion, when my phone buzzed with a notification from my banking app: $8,000 withdrawal. ATM. Then another notification. $5,000 transfer. Then another. $3,400 purchase. I excused myself from the meeting, my face burning with embarrassment, and called my mother immediately. Mom, did you take $8,000 from my account? I needed it. For what? Your father and I are going on vacation. We haven't been anywhere in years. We deserve this. A vacation. They took $8,000 for a vacation. Mom, I was in a meeting about a promotion. I can't have money disappearing without warning. You would have said no if I asked. Because we can't afford an $8,000 vacation. We can afford it. You have plenty of money. I have savings. That's different. That's my security. You're young. You can make more money. We're not getting any younger. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. I went back into the meeting, apologized for the interruption, and somehow made it through the presentation. I got the promotion anyway. But I didn't feel happy about it. I felt trapped. Because the more I made, the more they expected. The more successful I became, the more entitled they felt to my income. I was a cash cow. And they were milking me dry. That night, I sat in my apartment and did the math. Over the past 5 years, I'd sent my family approximately $120,000. $120,000. That was a down payment on a house. That was a new car. That was financial security. That was freedom. And I had nothing to show for it. The sixth piece, the one that finally showed me the truth, came 3 months later. I'd been saving again, slowly rebuilding what they'd taken. I had $37,000 saved. I'd been planning to use it for a down payment on a small condo. I'd been dreaming about owning my own place for years. Then I got that text from my mother. I used your card. We needed it. Don't make a big deal out of it. $19,000 gone in an afternoon. My down payment. My future. My escape plan. Gone. I called her, and I was shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Mom, you just took almost $20,000 from my account. That was my down payment savings. That was everything. We needed furniture. Your father has been in so much pain from his back. The new bed will help him sleep. New bed? You spent $19,000 on a bed? We got other things too. A new couch, a new TV, some things for the kitchen. We've been living with broken furniture for years. We deserve nice things. With my money. You bought nice things with my money without even asking. You're my daughter. I shouldn't have to ask. You can't just take money from my account without telling me. I just did. And you'll survive. You always do. That's when something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Like ice on a frozen lake, right before it gives way. You're right, I said quietly. I always do survive. But I'm done surviving. I'm done. Done what? Done being your bank account. Done sacrificing everything so you can live comfortably while I struggle. Done. Don't you dare talk to me like that. After everything I've done for you, everything you've done for me? You gave birth to me. That's not a debt I owe you for the rest of my life. You ungrateful, I'm hanging up now, Mom. I hung up. Then I sat on my bathroom floor, surrounded by the silence of my empty apartment, and I cried. I cried for the daughter I'd been, who believed that love meant endless sacrifice. I cried for the woman I was, exhausted and depleted and angry. And I cried for the person I could have been if I'd never learned to equate my worth with my ability to give. When I was done crying, I made a decision. I was done. But I didn't tell them that. I didn't announce it. I didn't give them a chance to argue, guilt, or manipulate me. I just started planning. If you're still watching this, if this story is resonating with you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Your engagement helps these stories reach people who need to hear them. Because I know I'm not the only one who's been treated like a retirement plan instead of a person. The first thing I did was open a new bank account at a completely different bank. One my parents didn't know about. One they couldn't access. I went to a branch across town during my lunch break. I brought every form of identification I had. I opened a checking account and a savings account, both in my name only. I transferred the remaining $18,000 from my original account to the new one. The teller asked if I wanted to close my old account. I said no. Not yet. I needed them to think everything was normal for a little while longer. Then I changed my direct deposit at work so my salary would go to the new account. Then I went through every account I had and changed all the passwords. Every single one. Banking, email, social media, everything. I used complicated passwords, nothing they could guess, and I wrote them down in a notebook that I kept locked in my car. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. The second thing I did was find a new apartment. Not just any apartment. One in a different city. Far enough away that they couldn't just show up. Close enough that I could still commute to work if I needed to. I found a studio in a building with secure entry, a doorman, and a policy against giving out resident information to visitors. I signed the lease and paid the deposit with my new account. The landlord ran a credit check and asked for references. I gave him my boss's name and 2 coworkers. No family. The apartment was small, but it was mine. Completely mine. And it was in a building where no one could reach me unless I wanted them to. The third thing I did was get a new phone number. I kept my old phone active for another month, letting calls go to voicemail. I wanted to hear what they had to say. I needed to know how long it would take them to notice I'd stopped being their cash source. It took 3 days. Day 1, nothing. No calls, no texts. They were probably busy enjoying their new furniture. Day 2, a text from my sister Sarah. Hey, Mom said. You were being weird. Everything okay? I didn't respond. Day 3, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. Hi honey, just checking in. Haven't heard from you in a few days. Call me back when you get a chance. No mention of money. Yet. Day 4, another call from my mother. Another voicemail. I need to talk to you about the electric bill. It's higher than usual this month. Can you call me? There it was. The real reason for the call. Day 5, 3 calls. 2 from my mother, 1 from my father. My father never called me. This was serious. His voicemail was short. Your mother is worried about you. Call us. Day 6, my mother's voicemail was panicked now. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? I tried to transfer some money from your account for groceries and it wouldn't go through. Did something happen to your card? Call me immediately. She'd tried to take money and couldn't. That's when she started to panic. Day 7, 10 calls. 5 from my mother, 3 from my father, 2 from Sarah. Sarah's voicemail, seriously, what's going on? Mom is freaking out. She said your account isn't working. Did you close it or something? Call her. She's really upset. I wasn't ready to cut them off completely yet. I had 1 more week until I moved into my new apartment. I needed to keep things stable until then. So I texted my mother from my old number, I'm fine. Just busy with work. I'll call you this weekend. That bought me a few more days. I spent that week slowly moving my things to the new apartment. Not all at once, that would be suspicious if they drove by my current place. Just a box or 2 each night after work. Clothes, books, kitchen stuff, the few pieces of furniture I owned. By the end of the week, my old apartment was practically empty. On moving day, I took the last of my things and turned in my keys to the landlord. Then I drove to my new place, 2 hours away, and started my new life. The 4th thing I did was block their numbers. Not immediately. I waited until I was completely moved in, until there was no way they could find me, until I was safe. Then, on a Sunday morning, sitting in my new apartment with my coffee and the silence I'd been craving for years, I blocked every single one of them. My mother. My father. Sarah. Mark. David. All of them. The silence was immediate and overwhelming. No calls. No texts. No demands. No guilt. Just peace. I sat there for an hour, waiting for the guilt to come. Waiting for the voice in my head that would tell me I was a terrible daughter, a selfish person, a family abandoner. It didn't come. Instead, I felt light. Lighter than I'd felt in years. The 5th thing I did was change my name on social media and make all my accounts private. I didn't delete them, I wanted to be able to keep in touch with the few friends I had. But I made it impossible for my family to find me. I unfriended all of them. I blocked them on every platform. I changed my profile pictures to landscapes instead of photos of me. I became a ghost. The first week in my new apartment was strange. I kept expecting someone to knock on the door. Kept expecting my phone to ring even though I'd blocked them. Kept expecting the guilt to catch up with me. But it never did. Instead, I started noticing things. I noticed that I had money in my bank account at the end of the month. Real money, not just scraps. I noticed that I could buy groceries without calculating whether I could afford them. I noticed that I could sleep through the night without waking up in panic about some new emergency. I started doing things I hadn't done in years. I bought myself new clothes. Not expensive clothes, just new ones that fit and made me feel good. I went to a movie by myself and bought popcorn without feeling guilty about the cost. I joined a gym. A nice one with a pool. I started cooking real meals instead of living on cheap pasta and canned soup. I existed as a person instead of a function. My coworkers noticed the change. You seem different, my friend Jessica said one day at lunch. Happier. I am happier, I said. What changed? I thought about how to answer that. I stopped letting other people drain me. She nodded like she understood, even though I hadn't told her the whole story. That weekend, I got my first paycheck deposited into my new account. The full amount, with no money immediately transferred out to family emergencies. I sat on my couch and looked at that number, and I cried. Not sad tears. Relief tears. This was what it felt like to keep what you earned. This was what it felt like to be free. The first month passed. Then the second. My old phone, the one I'd kept active just to see what would happen, was full of messages I never read. I could see the preview notifications though. From my mother, "Where are you? Why aren't you answering? I'm your mother. You owe me an explanation. The mortgage is due. I can't believe you're doing this to us." From my father, "This is childish. Your mother is sick with worry. Call us." From Sarah, "What the hell is wrong with you? Mom is crying every day. You're so selfish." From Mark, "We know you're seeing these messages. You can't ignore us forever." From David, "This is fucked up." I read the previews and felt nothing. No guilt. No obligation. No urge to respond. They were treating my absence like a tantrum. Like I'd come back once I'd made my point. They didn't understand that this wasn't a tantrum. This was a boundary. After 2 months, I finally turned off the old phone completely. I'd been keeping it active as a kind of safety net, a way to monitor the situation. But I didn't need to anymore. I put it in a drawer and forgot about it. Life continued. I got better at my new job. The promotion I'd gotten right before everything fell apart turned out to be the start of several promotions. I was good at my work when I wasn't constantly distracted by family emergencies. I made new friends. Real friends who liked me for me, not for what I could provide. I started dating. Nothing serious at first, just casual coffee dates and movies. It was nice to be seen as a person, as someone interesting and worthwhile, instead of as an ATM. I began therapy. My therapist helped me understand the dynamics of what had happened: financial abuse, parentification, enmeshment. Words for things I'd experienced but never named. You weren't their retirement plan, she told me. You were their entire financial strategy from the moment you started earning money. But I chose to give them money, I said. Nobody forced me. They manipulated you. That's different from choosing freely. They trained you from childhood to believe that your value was in what you could provide. That's not love. That's exploitation. Those sessions were hard. They brought up a lot of pain. But they also brought clarity. I hadn't abandoned my family. I'd stopped enabling them. There's a difference. 6 months after I disappeared, something unexpected happened. I ran into Sarah. I was at a coffee shop near my new apartment, sitting by the window with a book, when she walked in. She didn't see me at first. She was on her phone, looking frustrated. I should have left. I should have gathered my things and walked out before she noticed me. But I froze. And then she looked up and saw me. Her face went through several expressions: surprise, relief, anger, hurt. She walked over to my table. "So this is where you've been hiding." "Hi, Sarah." "Hi, Sarah? That's all you have to say?" I closed my book. "What do you want me to say? How about explaining why you abandoned us? Why you disappeared without a word? Why Mom is on antidepressants because she thinks you're dead?" "I'm not dead. I'm just done being used." "Used? We're your family. Family doesn't steal $19,000 without asking." Her face flushed. "Mom told you she needed that money. After she took it. Not before. Because she knew you'd say no." "Exactly. She knew I'd say no, so she stole it instead." "That's not family, Sarah. That's theft." She sat down across from me, uninvited. "You know what your problem is? You think you're better than us. You always have. I don't think I'm better than you. I just think I deserve to keep the money I earn. We needed that money. Do you know how hard things have been since you left?" "I don't know and I don't care." That came out harsher than I meant it, but it was true. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. How can you say that? We're your family. You keep saying that like it means something. Like being family gives you the right to take everything from me until there's nothing left. We didn't take everything, you took $120,000 over 5 years. Plus the $19,000 at the end. That's $139,000, Sarah. That's my entire future. That's a house. That's security. That's everything I worked for. She went pale. That can't be right. I did the math. 120,000 before the furniture. And I got nothing in return except guilt and more demands. You got a family, I got used. I was raising my voice now, and people were starting to look. I lowered it. I got used by people who were supposed to love me. Who were supposed to want good things for me. Instead, you all just saw me as a source of money. That's not fair. Isn't it? When was the last time Mom called me without needing money? When was the last time any of you asked about my life, my job, my dreams? When was the last time anyone cared about me as a person instead of as a paycheck? Sarah didn't answer. That's what I thought, I said quietly. I was never a daughter or a sister to any of you. I was just a bank account that occasionally talked. Mom loves you, Sarah said, but her voice was weak. Maybe she does. But love isn't supposed to feel like drowning. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Sarah said, things are really bad at home. Since you left. Mark lost his car because we couldn't make the payments. I had to get a job. David finally moved out because Mom couldn't support him anymore. The bank is threatening to foreclose on the house. I waited for the guilt. For the urge to fix it all. It didn't come. I'm sorry things are hard, I said. But that's not my responsibility. How can you say that? You're the reason we're in this mess. No. You're in this mess because you built your entire life around money that wasn't yours. That was always going to collapse eventually. So you're just going to let us lose everything? You're adults. Figure it out. The way I had to figure it out when I was 18 and putting myself through college. The way I've been figuring it out my entire adult life while supporting all of you. Sarah's expression hardened. You've changed. You're cold now. I'm not cold. I'm just not sacrificing myself anymore. There's a difference. She stood up. Wait until I tell Mom I found you. She's going to want your new address. You don't have it. And you're not getting it. I can follow you home. And I can call the police and report you for stalking. We stared at each other. I never thought you'd be this cruel, she said. And I never thought my family would steal from me. I guess we're both disappointed. She left without another word. I sat there for another hour, my hands shaking around my coffee cup, waiting for the panic to set in. It didn't. Because I'd meant what I said. I was done. That night, I got a call on my new phone, the number only my boss and a few close friends had. Unknown number. I shouldn't have answered. But I did. Hello? You think you can just run away and hide? My mother's voice, sharp with anger. How did you get this number? Sarah found you. Did you really think we wouldn't track you down? Sarah doesn't have this number. She got it from your boss. Told her there was a family emergency. My stomach dropped. You had Sarah lie to my boss? We did what we had to do to reach you. Since you've been ignoring us for months. I haven't been ignoring you. I've been protecting myself. Protecting yourself? From what? Your family who loves you. From being used. From being drained dry. From sacrificing everything for people who don't appreciate it. Don't appreciate it? We appreciate everything you've done. No, you don't. You expect it. You demand it. You steal from me when I don't give fast enough. I needed that furniture. Your father's back, I don't care. I was yelling now. I don't care about the furniture or Dad's back or the mortgage or any of it. It's not my responsibility. We're your family. Of course it's your responsibility. No. It's not. Being born into a family doesn't make me responsible for supporting that family for the rest of my life. You had other children. Make them help. They can't help the way you can. They don't make as much, because they never had to. Because you let them coast through life while I worked myself into the ground. Because you trained them to expect someone else to solve their problems. That's not true, it is true. Mark is 30 years old and he's never held a job for more than 6 months. Sarah is 27 and she just got her first job. David is 23 and he just moved out for the first time. They're children because you let them be children. But I had to be an adult at 12 years old. Silence on the other end. I was 12 when I started working to pay for my own clothes, I continued, my voice breaking. 14 when I started helping with groceries. 16 when I started giving you money for bills. I haven't stopped working since I was 12 years old. And you have the audacity to call me selfish for wanting to keep what I earn? We needed you, you used me. There's a difference. So what now? You're just going to abandon us? Let us lose our home? Let your father go without his medication? Let your siblings struggle? Yes, I said. And I meant it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Because they're adults. And adults figure things out. You're heartless. I'm free. And I'm keeping it that way. You'll regret this. When something happens to us and you weren't there. You'll regret this for the rest of your life. Maybe, I said. But I'll regret it with a full bank account and a life of my own. Which is more than I had before. I hung up. Then I blocked that number too. Then I called my boss and explained that my family was unstable and that under no circumstances should they give out my contact information to anyone. She apologized profusely. I had no idea. She said it was an emergency. They lie, I said. About a lot of things. Please don't give them any information about me. Not my schedule, not my number, nothing. Of course. I'm so sorry. That night, I didn't sleep well. I kept thinking about my mother's words. You'll regret this for the rest of your life. Would I? I thought about what my life had been like before I left. The constant stress. The empty bank account. The guilt every time I spent money on myself. The exhaustion of working constantly to support people who never even thanked me. I thought about what my life was like now. The peace. The savings. The ability to buy groceries without calculating whether I could afford them. The freedom to exist as a person instead of a function. No. I wouldn't regret this. I regretted the years I'd lost. I regretted the money I'd given. I regretted not setting boundaries sooner. But I didn't regret leaving. A year passed. I got another promotion. I was making $90,000 a year now, and all of it was mine. Every single dollar. I moved to a bigger apartment. 1 bedroom instead of a studio. With a balcony where I could sit in the mornings with my coffee. I started taking weekend trips. Small ones at first, hiking in state parks, visiting nearby cities. Then bigger ones. I went to the beach. I went to the mountains. I went to places I'd always dreamed of seeing but never thought I could afford. I started saving for real things. A down payment on a house. Retirement. Travel. I started building the life I'd always wanted. And I did it all without sending a single dollar to my family. The guilt came sometimes. Usually late at night, when I was alone with my thoughts. What if they really did lose the house? What if my father couldn't afford his medication? What if something terrible happened and I wasn't there? But then I'd remind myself, those aren't my problems to solve. They're adults. They can figure it out. And if they can't? That's still not my responsibility. I had to keep telling myself that. Over and over. Because the guilt was so deeply ingrained. But it got easier with time. My therapist helped. You're grieving, she told me. Not for them, but for the family you thought you had. The family that loved you for you, not for what you could provide. But maybe they did love me, I said. Maybe I'm being unfair. Did they love you? Or did they love what you could do for them? I thought about that for a long time. I don't know, I finally said. Here's how you can tell, she said. When you stopped providing money, did they try to maintain a relationship with you? Did they call to check on you, to see how you were doing, to tell you they missed you for reasons other than money? I thought about the voicemails. The texts. The messages from Sarah. Every single one had been about money. About what I owed them. About how my absence was hurting them financially. Not one had said I miss you. Not one had said, are you okay? Not one had said I love you for who you are, not what you give me. No, I said quietly. They didn't. Then you have your answer. That was a hard session. I cried for an hour afterward. But it was also freeing. Because I finally understood that I hadn't lost anything real. I'd only lost the illusion of family. 18 months after I disappeared, I got a letter. Not an email or a text. An actual physical letter, forwarded through my old job to my current one. It was from my father. I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity won. I opened it. The letter was 2 pages, handwritten. Dear daughter, I hope this letter finds you well. Your mother and I have been trying to reach you for over a year now with no success. Sarah told us she saw you and that you seem to be doing well. I'm glad. I'm writing because I want to explain some things. Maybe help you understand where we're coming from. When you were born, your mother and I were so happy. We had big dreams for you. We wanted you to have everything we never had. But life is expensive. Kids are expensive. And we struggled. We've always struggled. When you started helping out with money, it felt like a blessing. Like finally, things might get easier. And they did. For a while. I know we came to rely on you too much. I know we should have encouraged your siblings to contribute more. I know we should have been more grateful. But it's hard to be grateful when you're drowning. When every month is a struggle to keep the lights on and food on the table. When you feel like you're failing as a parent because you can't provide for your kids. Your money kept us afloat. It kept us from losing everything. And now that it's gone, we're drowning again. I'm not writing to ask for money. I know that's not going to happen. Your mother thinks we can guilt you into coming back, but I know you better than that. When you make up your mind, you're stubborn as hell. You get that from me. I'm writing to tell you I understand. I understand why you left. I understand why you cut us off. And I understand that we pushed you to it. We treated you like a paycheck instead of a daughter. We expected you to sacrifice your future for ours. We took and never gave anything back. That wasn't fair. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry we put that burden on you. I'm sorry we made you feel like your only value was in what you could provide. I'm sorry we didn't appreciate you for who you are. I hope you're happy wherever you are. I hope you're building the life you always deserved. And I hope someday, maybe, you can forgive us. Even if you never speak to us again, I want you to know, I'm proud of you. Not for the money you gave us. But for being strong enough to walk away when we were destroying you. That took courage. Real courage. I love you. I always have. I just didn't show it the way I should have. Take care of yourself. Dad, I read that letter 3 times. Then I sat with it for a week, trying to figure out how I felt. Part of me wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe that my father finally understood. that maybe there could be some kind of reconciliation. But another part of me, the part that had learned to protect itself, was suspicious. Was this real? Or was it just another manipulation? A new tactic when guilt and anger hadn't worked. I showed the letter to my therapist. "What do you think?" I asked. "What do you think?" she countered. I think it sounds genuine. But I also think it doesn't change anything." "Why not?" "Because even if he's sorry, even if he really understands what they did, that doesn't mean I have to go back. That doesn't mean I owe them a relationship." "That's very true. Apologies don't erase damage. And understanding why someone hurt you doesn't mean you have to let them hurt you again." I thought about that. Can I forgive them without going back? I asked. Yes. Forgiveness isn't about reconciliation. It's about letting go of the pain so it doesn't poison you. You can forgive them and still keep your distance. You can wish them well and still protect yourself. That made sense. I wrote my father a letter back. Short and simple. "Dad, thank you for your letter. I appreciate your apology and your honesty. I forgive you. I forgive all of you. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean going back. What you and Mom did damaged me in ways I'm still working to heal. The financial burden was bad enough, but worse was feeling like I only mattered when I was useful. Like my value as a daughter was measured in dollars. I can't go back to that. I won't. I hope you figure things out. I hope you find a way to be stable without depending on me. I hope my siblings learn to stand on their own. But I can't be part of that process. I have to focus on my own healing, my own life. I wish you well. But I'm keeping my distance. Take care of yourself." I mailed it and felt lighter. Not because I'd reconciled with him. But because I'd been honest. I'd set my boundary clearly and kindly. What he did with that was up to him. 2 years after I disappeared, I bought a house. A small one, 2 bedrooms, with a yard and a garden. It needed work, but it was mine. All mine. I paid for it with the money I'd saved since leaving. Money that would have gone to my family's mortgage, my siblings' cars, my parents' vacations. Instead, it bought me freedom. I stood in the empty living room on moving day and cried. These were happy tears. I'd done it. I'd built a life. A real life. Without them. I thought about what my mother had said, "You'll regret this for the rest of your life." I didn't regret it. Not even a little. I regretted the time I'd lost. The money I'd given. The years I'd spent thinking my worth was in what I could provide. But I didn't regret leaving. I regretted not leaving sooner. 3 years after I disappeared, I got engaged. His name was Daniel. He was a teacher, kind and patient and completely unable to understand why anyone would treat family the way mine had treated me. "But they're your family," he said when I told him the whole story. "That's what they keep saying. But family is supposed to love you. Not use you." I know. I just can't imagine doing that to someone you love. Neither can I. That's why I left. He proposed on a Saturday morning in our kitchen, no fancy speech or elaborate plan. Just "I love you and I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me?" I said yes. When we started planning the wedding, he asked if I was going to invite my family. "No," I said. "Are you sure? Your dad seemed sorry in that letter." He was sorry. But sorry doesn't mean safe. And I'm not taking the risk. I understand. I just want to make sure you won't regret it later. I won't. This day is about us. About our future. Not about people who see me as a bank account. He hugged me. Okay. Then it's just us and the people who actually love us. The wedding was small and perfect. 20 people, all friends who had supported me through the hardest parts of rebuilding my life. No family. Not a single one. And I didn't miss them. During the reception, my friend Jessica gave a toast. I've known the bride for 5 years, she said. And I've watched her transform from someone who was constantly stressed and exhausted into someone who finally knows her worth. She stopped letting people drain her. She stopped sacrificing herself. And she became the person she was always meant to be. Here's to her courage. And to the life she's built for herself. Everyone cheered. Daniel leaned over and whispered, "I'm so proud of you." For what? For choosing yourself. For being brave enough to walk away. For building this life. I kissed him. I'm proud of me too. That night, lying in bed next to my husband, I thought about my mother's prediction one last time. You'll regret this for the rest of your life. She was wrong. I didn't regret leaving. I didn't regret cutting them off. I didn't regret protecting myself. The only thing I regretted was ever believing that love meant letting myself be destroyed. If you've made it to the end of this story, thank you for listening. If this resonated with you, if you've ever been treated like a retirement plan instead of a person, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and whether you've experienced something similar. Your stories matter. Your experiences matter. And you're not alone. For years after I disappeared, my mother died. I found out through Facebook. A cousin I'd forgotten I was still connected to posted about it. Rest in peace, Aunt Patricia. You were always so strong for your family. I stared at that post for a long time. My mother was dead. And I felt nothing. No grief. No guilt. No regret. Just a distant acknowledgement that a person I used to know no longer existed. I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't send flowers. I didn't reach out to my siblings. I just let it pass. Daniel asked if I was okay. I don't know, I admitted. I thought I'd feel something. But I don't. That's okay. You're allowed to feel nothing. Or everything. Or something in between. I think I grieved her years ago. When I realized she saw me as a resource instead of a daughter. This is just making it official. He held me while I didn't cry. A week later, Sarah called. Somehow she'd gotten my number again. Mom died, she said when I answered. I know. I saw. You saw? And you didn't come to the funeral? No. She was your mother. She was a person who gave birth to me. That's not the same as being a mother. How can you be so cold? She loved you. Did she? Or did she love what I could provide? Sarah was quiet for a moment. She talked about you all the time. Especially at the end. She kept saying she wished she could talk to you one more time. What stopped her? Pride, I guess. Pride. Not regret. Not a genuine apology. Just pride. She was sorry. She just didn't know how to say it. She knew how. She chose not to. Are you coming to the funeral at least? It's tomorrow. No. What do I tell people? Tell them I'm not coming. Tell them I've moved on. Tell them whatever you want. I don't care. You've really changed, Sarah said. Yes, I have. I learned to value myself. I learned that being family doesn't give someone the right to exploit you. I learned that I matter. She really did love you, you know. Maybe. But not enough to stop using me. And that's the part that mattered. I hung up. This time, I didn't feel guilty about it. 5 years after I disappeared, I became a mother myself. A little girl. Olivia. Holding her in the hospital, looking at her tiny face, I made a promise. I would never make her feel like her value was in what she could provide. I would never use her as a retirement plan. I would never treat her like a resource instead of a person. She would know she was loved for who she was, not what she could do. Daniel and I raised her with that promise at the center of everything. When she was 5, she asked why she didn't have grandparents like her friends. Some people have grandparents, I told her. And some people don't. We're a family that doesn't. Why not? Because sometimes adults make choices that hurt other adults. And when that happens, it's okay to protect yourself by keeping distance. Did your mom hurt you? Yes. She did. Do you miss her? I thought about that question. I miss the idea of her. The mother I wish I'd had. But not the person she actually was. That's sad. It is. But it's also okay. Sometimes the healthiest thing we can do is walk away from people who hurt us. Even if they're family. She thought about that. I hope I never hurt you like that. I hope so too, baby. But if you do, I hope I have the courage to set boundaries that protect both of us. She didn't understand that then. But she would someday. 6 years after I disappeared, I got a message from Mark. Not through Sarah. Not through my father. Directly from him. He found me on LinkedIn somehow. Hey. I know you don't want to hear from us. But I needed to tell you something. I'm sorry. For everything. For letting you carry all of us. For not helping when I should have. For taking advantage of you. I didn't see it then, but I see it now. You deserved better. I'm working on being better. Not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know I get it now. I read it several times. Then I wrote back. Thank you. I appreciate the apology. I hope you're doing well. That was all. I didn't need more. I didn't need reconciliation or relationship. I just needed the acknowledgement that I'd been right. 7 years after I disappeared, my daughter asked me what the most important thing I'd ever learned was. We were sitting in her bedroom, reading before bed, when the question came out of nowhere. The most important thing? I repeated. Yeah. What's the biggest lesson? I thought about all the things I could say. About hard work. About education. About kindness. But I told her the truth. The most important thing I learned is that you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You matter. Your needs matter. Your future matters. And it's okay to protect those things, even from people who claim to love you. What if they get mad? Let them be mad. Their anger doesn't change your right to protect yourself. What if they say you're being selfish? Then they're wrong. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. She thought about that. Were you selfish when you left Grandma? Some people would say yes. But no. I was protecting myself from people who were hurting me. Do you regret it? Not even a little bit. Good, she said. And she went back to her book like that settled it. I kissed her forehead and turned out the light. Now, 10 years after I deleted my banking app and disappeared, I'm sitting in my home office, looking at my life. I have a job I love that pays me well. I have a house I own. I have savings and retirement accounts and security. I have a husband who sees me as a partner, not a wallet. I have a daughter who knows she's loved unconditionally. I have friends who value me for who I am. I have peace. My family, my original family, doesn't know where I am. They don't know what I do. They don't know about Daniel or Olivia or the life I built. And I'm okay with that. Because they lost their retirement plan. And I finally got my life back. The guilt still comes sometimes. Usually late at night when I'm alone with my thoughts. I wonder if they're okay. If they figured things out. If they learned anything. But those thoughts don't last long anymore. Because I know the truth, their problems were never mine to solve. Their futures were never mine to fund. Their choices were never my responsibility. I was their daughter. Not their bank account. And the day I learned that difference was the day I saved myself. To everyone watching this who's been treated like a retirement plan, instead of a person who's given until there was nothing left, who's felt guilty for wanting to keep what they earned, you're not selfish. You're not cruel. You're not wrong. You're worthy of keeping what you work for. You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to protect yourself. Even from family. Especially from family. Because real love doesn't drain you dry. Real love doesn't see you as a resource. Real love doesn't demand sacrifice until you have nothing left. Real love sees you as a person. Values you for who you are. Wants good things for you. And anything less than that isn't love at all. It's just exploitation dressed up in familial obligation. I learned that the hard way. But I learned it. And now I'm free. Really, truly free. And if you're in that situation right now, if you're being drained by people who claim to love you, please hear this: you can leave. You can set boundaries. You can protect yourself. And you won't regret it. You'll only regret the years you spent believing you had to sacrifice everything for people who wouldn't sacrifice anything for you. Choose yourself. It's not selfish. It's survival. And you deserve to survive. You deserve to thrive. So delete that banking app if you need to. Change your number. Move across the country. Do whatever it takes to protect yourself. Because you matter. Your future matters. Your peace matters. And no one, not your mother, not your father, not your siblings, not anyone, has the right to take that from you. Not even family. Especially not family. I learned that lesson. And it saved my life.